And guys, so sorry for being so super late this morning. Just had a few things go on as my life tends to be. So I want to talk about kidneys today. Good morning. I'm Misha, and I talk about insulin resistance, how it relates into all of these other diseases and disorders. So hopefully you'll start to understand what could be happening to you when other professionals are not able to help you. Look, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physician. I'm not, those are the same thing. I'm not sort of. I am not a nutritionist, and I'm just a woman who got really sick. I did work in the medical field and worked with a number of doctors, and we struggled to figure out my health. And in the end, I started a protocol to help my diabetes, and everything got better. I started learning more about insulin resistance and how it was linked to every other symptom that I was having. So, we're going to talk about that. I've been talking a lot about heart health this week because it's really heavy on my mind. Years and years of high blood pressure did take a toll on my heart. Yes, I'm fortunate to be up and around, but now we're having to look at how to deal with the damage that's been done to my heart because of long term hypertension that I was being given pills for that were not creating better blood pressure and actually just made me more ill. So, full disclosure, I'm a little bit pissed off this week. I'm a little bit pissed off that almost everything that I have that's a major complication in life would have been addressed if anyone would have ever explained insulin resistance and how to take care of it. And the thing is that the knowledge that we've had in the past about diabetes, insulin resistance, has been incorrect on how to deal with it. So we're going to go over some things this morning. Hopefully you'll gain some knowledge and maybe it will help you. And then I'm going to go over the system that I use to help me get all of this under control. So my blood pressure is now about 110 over 70 every single morning, when in the past it had been up to 180 over 150, if not higher, every day. And the best we could get it to in a medical exam was about 150 over 110. Now, with all of that being said, how do we get there and what's happening? And we're really talking about the kidneys today. What I want to talk about is that how this is affecting your kidneys, and then I want to explain how tightly linked your kidneys are to your heart. So are we up for it today? Is everybody up for this? Do you want to hear all about it? Because there's a lot of information. So how insulin resistance is affecting your kidneys. First off, I think we need to understand most of us think of the kidneys as being a filtering device, right? It's that thing that everything goes through before we pee, just like the intestinal system is what all of our food goes through before we poop. So we always think of our kidneys as a filtering device. But what if I told you it plays a role in your bone health? It plays a role in your energy. It plays a role in your pH balance, but and it plays a role in filtering your blood, not just your urine. So it has a lot of processes that are intricately linked to a number of other issues. We need to keep our kidneys healthy. People with kidney disease or like stage 3 or end stage kidney failure can understand how important this is. This is why people whose kidneys are no longer functioning have to go in for dialysis and have that filtration process happen every few days. In the meantime, they're dealing with other issues because the kidneys are not functioning. So I feel bad. I used to want to work in a dialysis center. And I think hopefully what I can do now is to help people not get to the dialysis center. Okay, let's help people not get there. So, insulin resistance starts to change a number of things in your kidneys. Now, one of the things that I keep forgetting, or maybe I just didn't remember, and it kind of blew my mind this morning that with the kidneys is that remember how I talk about insulin is a growth hormone. It wants things to grow. It wants to hold on to things, and it wants to deliver sugar as energy to our cells. Well, in the kidneys, it's causing a thickening of the tissues, too much insulin getting taken in. So those tissues are starting to thicken, and now your kidneys are starting to have a real problem functioning and passing the waste through. So that's one issue. And I really feel like it's important to understand that this excess insulin is creating overgrowth in the kidneys that's creating a whole lot of dysfunction. And did anybody know that? Did anybody know that your kidneys starting to get hard and thick are related to insulin resistance. In fact, having insulin resistance increases a person's uh, likelihood of getting kidney disease by 50%. That's a huge link. If you take away the insulin resistance, now you've created this system where it's less likely for you to even have that in the first place. Now, I do have notes, you guys. There's no way I can, as just a normal woman, can remember everything. So we're going to refer to some of the notes I made while I was studying this so I can get the key points out to you guys. So we've already talked about the filtration. One of the things that the kidneys do is they regulate pH balance. So what passes through the kidneys when now I'm going to pause for a second and you guys, I want to stop for a second and say, please ask questions. If you have questions or if you have something you want me to re-explain whatnot, let me know. I'm going to explain insulin resistance, how we're getting here in a minute, but I always do that first. I kind of want to deal with the disorder first this morning. So we're going to dive back into the kidneys. Now, that pH balance, what I was starting to say is it's interesting to me, all the things people are trying to do to increase the pH balance in your body. Your body does a really great job of that when it's healthy. Why we're getting out of balance with pH likely links back to the amount of sugar we're getting that's linking to the amount of insulin that's coursing through our bloodstream. The insulin really dysregulates that balance in the kidneys, and when you start to have a higher pH balance in your urine, because your urine should be really acidic. Remember, your urine is getting rid of stuff. It should be acidic, so nothing is flourishing in that tract and it's just expelling it. But in the presence of insulin resistance, that pH balance starts to change, and the kidneys are not able to filter in the same way, and you're starting to be more alkaline in your urine. Now, what happens with more alkalinity is you're starting to get more infections. Actually, I'm sorry. This one is incorrect. We're talking about something else. That's a drug. So the pH balance increases. It increases the risk of stones. That's where we're going. So when that pH balance is too high in your urine, you're increasing the risk of stones because the urine just isn't able to break down as much of the products that it's trying to filter. So now you're gaining kidney stones. Another way that it's causing kidney stones is that it's increasing the calcium retention in your kidneys. And as the kidneys cannot get rid of calcium in the right amounts or distribute it in the right amounts, it starts to build up as stones in the kidneys. Now, those are both tightly linked to insulin resistance. So if we understand that insulin resistance it's not the only cause. I never say that it's the only cause. But if we can understand that that is a big piece of this mystery, then we can start to regulate our insulin levels, become more insulin sensitive, become more metabolically flexible, and now we start to see kidneys getting better. We talk about kidneys and salt retention, right? So the link between kidneys and your heart, when your kidneys are not functioning properly, is starting to cause inflammation and it's starting to cause too much salt retention. So let's deal with salt retention first. When we have too much salt retention because the kidneys just that are not producing enough aldosterone, telling the body how to regulate what salt to keep and what salt to get rid of. Now it's just holding on to more salt than it should. Um, oh, you're so welcome, you guys. This is listen, can we pause for a second? I appreciate your comment. And it really, really means a lot to me. What people don't see on the backside is yes, I talk about a protocol. Yes, that's how I make my living. But I don't care that I don't make as much as other people. I care that I'm helping other people start to understand this and get better. Now, does the protocol help? Yes. But I really want people to have this information so they don't end up where I've been. It's not a pleasant place to be when your health is just falling out all around you. So, back to the kidneys and this salt retention. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about salt now too. So this is kind of a different talk about kidneys today because we're linking it to the heart and a number of these other issues. When we have insulin resistance, it dysregulates the hormone aldosterone in the kidneys, which is telling us how much salt to get rid of and how much salt to hang on to. Now we're holding on to too much salt. That's creating too much inflammation and water in our system, and that's increasing your blood pressure, but it's also increasing inflammation. Now, increased inflammation in your system does a couple of things. It puts the kidneys at risk, it puts the heart at risk, and it makes you tend to be more insulin resistant. So now you've started with this little trickle of disorder, and as it builds, it just starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger and out of control. Back to salt. How many of you guys how many of you guys feel like if you want to take care of your heart, you've got to eat less salt? And eating less salt all around is probably just good for your whole body. How many of you guys have been told that or believe that cutting out salt is the way to a healthier heart and maybe even healthier kidneys? Put a 1 in the chat if that is you. Have you been told that? Have you heard any cardiologist talk about how salt is so bad for your heart? And maybe too much salt is bad for your kidneys because it's causing them to have to work too hard. So there's some interesting studies that show that. And so hold on to your genes, you guys, because I talk about all the time how it's not about the salt, it's about the sugar. If we get the sugar levels, and what we're really doing is getting the insulin levels under control, if we get those insulin levels under control, your kidneys start functioning properly and they're able to understand what to filter and what to keep. They're understanding how to keep your bones healthy. They're understanding all of this other disorder going on. And so, Rich, you are absolutely correct. Salt is needed. It's a lie that we need to stop salt. In fact, where I'm getting to is in this study. Maybe I'll do a video on that study today. Maybe I'll do that. But salt, the more they restricted salt, the more people were having kidney problems, the more people were having heart problems, the more people were having increased insulin resistance to the point that it pushed them into diabetes. So, salt restriction is an old myth and an old lie because they were grasping at straws like, oh, they're retaining too much water. Let's cut back the salt. No, you're retaining too much water. Let's cut back the freaking sugar. Okay. So we need salt. We need salt. In fact, so many other metabolic functions start to downregulate when we don't have salt that it's so important. We got to have that. I take now this isn't a sales thing. I just share with right. I use LMNT. I don't get paid for that. I'm not an affiliate. I'm not anything, but I use their salts every day. And I started doing that because I started realizing how important these electrolytes are to our system, to our kidneys, to our heart, to our brain. So every day I take a packet of LMNT, and a lot of things are starting to feel better, but it's really important to pay attention to that. High cortisol caused by poor kidney function. Okay, I don't have a specific study for that, so my mind is going through the cogs, right? So for me, when we talk about high cortisol, is it all so let's be careful here. Is high cortisol linked to poor kidney function? Yes, it can be linked to that. Is it always the cause of high cortisol? No. High cortisol also causes kidney dysfunction. In our body, there's this great like circular thing going on, right? Keep the cortisol healthy, keep all the other things healthy, right? If you start to get one of these pieces out of control, then we start to see it's like a domino effect throughout the body. Your cortisol levels go up, your kidney function is down, but through the actions of, and I will look into this because I want to give you a real answer. I'm just going through the knowledge I have and seeing how just from everything that I have pieced together, it makes sense to me that high cortisol levels can cause more kidney dysfunction. I'm not a doctor. So I want to be very clear about that. I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to diagnose or prescribe or anything. I'm just here to help open up possibilities for you guys in your health. My thoughts on the keto diet. I like the keto diet. For most people, I think the keto diet is great. I don't think you have to be keto to get this taken care of. So salt helps us with normal levels of water, and I can do a whole other video on salt. Let me do that because I honestly don't have that answer unless we're talking about right off the top of my head. You guys understand this with me? I'm gonna say it again. Y'all know by now. I'm autistic. I get on a track and that's where I'm at. And then it's really hard for my mind to break free and find other things. So if you just give me a break, I can have the salt answer. And I'll do that in another video or maybe even tomorrow's talk. Kind of wanted to talk about liver because it's tightly linked to all of this too. But let's put down salt. I'll talk about that and then cortisol and kidneys and do the video on the salt study. Okay, so I got those things down so I can. So cutting the sugar does what? So cutting the sugar helps you get your metabolism under control. When we're talking about that, we're getting off topic a little bit. I think there's a couple of other things I really wanted to talk about with the kidneys, but let's explain that question. So we have this hormone called insulin, right? Insulin resistance is what I talk about all the time. Excess sugar in the bloodstream elicits a need for insulin. Insulin is then carrying the sugar throughout the bloodstream to create energy, but it's not the only place we can get energy from, guys. We can make a form of glucose out of protein that doesn't need insulin to transport it. Now we're starting to get things under control. Why all of this matters? Insulin is a hormone that is helping deliver energy. When it gets dysregulated, there's too much of it in the system. It's called insulin resistance. But actually, there's three things going on with insulin resistance. Some cells won't take in any more energy because they're feeling inundated by insulin. They're they're just feeling like you're knocking on my door too often. I don't want to hear you. So now those cells, stubborn cells, are like, even when they need energy, they're like, "Ah, I can't take you. You're that nosy neighbor that I've been watching these HOA videos. They're all skits, but it just is crazy. It's like that nosy neighbor that's always knocking on your door and you just don't want to hear from them. So even the doorbell rings, you're not answering. And maybe they actually have good news this time, but you're still not answering because they've annoyed you so much. Most of your cells are feeling like that with insulin resistance. The second thing happens is nothing. Some cells are just like, I don't care. I'm going to take in the energy when I need it, and I'm not going to take it in when I don't need it. And I'm just going to go on about my life. Then there's the third type of cells that take up way too much insulin, and it starts to do things like thicken the blood vessels inside. It starts to cause excess skin growth in keratinocytes, so you end up with skin tags. It starts to create excess melanin production, so you end up with melanocytes like acanthosis nigricans, dark skin patches on your body. It starts to create thickening in the kidneys because some of these cells are just taking up too much energy. So our body is doing the best it can with where we're at. So too much sugar, this inundation that we've had of sugar in our history, we have never eaten as much sugar as we do now. And we're wondering why we're sick. So when we are pushing this insulin to be created all the time, the fourth thing that happens is, now that's three things with the cells, but now another thing that happens is the insulin level is starting to want to stay high. Your body learns and adapts to what we need to do. In the presence of chronic high sugar, the body's always trying to keep insulin out so that it's ready to produce, to deliver this sugar to the cells of the body. So it's not having to wait 2 hours after you've dumped sugar into your body. All of these processes don't happen like that. Okay, they take hours, sometimes a half an hour, sometimes a couple of hours for depending on what we're talking about. But when you eat, it takes hours for all of these actions to happen. Now, for most of us, because we don't have this mediator of fiber, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Fiber is really the key. Besides that, we're eating too much sugar. We've stripped fiber from the sugars that we're eating. Fiber slows down the delivery of the sugar into the system so that it's more normal and we don't have these huge spikes or highly driven insulin all the time. But now we're snacking constantly. We're eating every 2 hours. We're eating packaged and processed foods that have been stripped of these fibers and nutrients. And now we have a high load of sugar in our system, and that's creating too much insulin. So our body goes, hey, they're just going to eat again in 15 minutes, and we need that insulin there to cover it. So now your insulin levels are staying chronically high all the time. Chronically means all the time, right? Or are often. So now your insulin levels are really high. And when that insulin level is really high in the body, more and more cells are becoming resistant to it. One of the cells that's not resistant to it at first are your fat cells. That excess energy that insulin can't deliver anywhere else starts pouring into your fat cells. You're starting to gain weight, you're starting to get bigger, and then it just seems uncontrollable and you can't lose weight because that insulin level is high. Now, when those fat cells start to get too full, or feel like they're at compromise, they either stop taking in the insulin, or they just spill the blood sugar back out into the bloodstream. And now your blood sugars are rising. Now you get the diagnosis of diabetes. In fact, one of the statements that was made is that the link between insulin resistance, my mind is just going back to kidneys, and kidneys, that by the time most people are being diagnosed with diabetes and understand that their kidneys could be at risk, and then later, usually it's diabetes and then kidney failure starts to happen. If we can understand that this is all happening at the insulin resistance stage, that prediabetes and diabetes are really just end stage insulin resistance, if we can understand that and start taking care of the insulin resistance, which can happen 20 years before you ever get the diagnosis of diabetes, you can stop the damage to your kidneys way beforehand. So this HOMA-IR, HOMA-IR test in the beginning is far more important than your blood sugars. If your blood sugars look normal and you have all these symptoms and you feel like you're struggling with some things, and Dr. Bickman and a number of other doctors and me too believe that we should be in that metabolic panel, the the complete metabolic panel, the annual panel that we do every year that measures our blood sugars and our A1C. I think that we need to be having HOMA IR added to that panel every year, because even it will start to catch things even before your blood sugars go up. And it's the one big piece of our lab work that we're missing that's causing doctors to miss all of this. Now, there's a calculation for your blood sugars and your HOMA IR that's in the How to Tell tab, and you can go take a look at that and calculate out if you choose to get that test. It also tells you what the test is. So adding that test to your metabolic panel that you do once a year, or should be doing once a year, only costs about an additional $30. So why not get it? It's called a HOMA, HOMA-IR, for insulin resistance test. It's not the best test, but it's the least expensive that can give us an indicator. When you take that test and use this calculation of the HOMA score and your blood sugars, multiply them together and divide them by, I believe it was 407, you can now start to see your actual risk of insulin resistance long before blood sugars go up. So there's a whole video on that in my How to Tell tab. Go take a look at it after the live. There's another one that uses your your lipids to start to tell if you're insulin resistant. Now, these are indicators, and the lipid panel listed on the NIH's website. I would keep thinking IR, insulin resistance. NIH, too many acronyms in my head. They say 1.5 or below is good. Newer science is starting to lean into the fact that a level of, so you can be too low on insulin as well. That's a problem, because that's leading into more towards type 1 diabetes, where they just can't produce insulin. But the score should be really between 0.4 and 1. That's a really healthy range. So I have many videos that talk about 1.5 or lower is the thing. But if you're experiencing symptoms and you're closer to that 1.5 level, then understand you're probably still experiencing some level of insulin resistance, and you should just take care of it. Now, it's not medications that take care of it, you guys. It's your diet. It's the world we live in. It's understanding what's missing from our food. And this isn't, you have to change everything so drastically that you don't understand your life anymore. This is understanding that there's a few things that are missing, and we maybe make a few tweaks. You're good. You start to get healthier, okay? And this affects your kidneys, your liver, your heart, your muscle tissue throughout your body, as well as your brain. So there was something about the kidneys that I wanted to mention. Look at my notes, because there was another piece I feel like I'm missing that I wanted to talk about. Oh, the other thing that's happening, and this isn't as much with the heart, but the inflammation from gout can affect your heart. And um, in the presence of insulin resistance, one of the other things that kidneys are not doing is filtering out uric acid in the right amount, so your body's retaining it. It ends up in places like your big toe, and now it's painful, swollen, extremely painful. That kind of inflammation and stress on the body also still leads back to affecting your heart. Yeah, so you start eating real food. And you guys, the longer, look, when I started the program, I was on I ate regular food most of the time. I ate better food when I could because I was still driving for Lyft and Uber. And so, in an 8 to 10 hour shift, a majority of the food that was available was going to be between drives if I had time. And so it would be, and I was driving during the pandemic, so it was McDonald's or Jack in the Box, I think, were the two that were open. So honestly, one of my meals a day was those. Do I recommend that? No. Can you still start where you're at and start to get better? Yes. But the more that we can change to eating whole healthy foods, the better you're going to feel. But we also have to understand that our food has changed. So, there's this big debate about like grass-fed beef or free-range chicken, and there's really positives to all of that. What do the rest of us do when we can't when we can't afford the grass-fed beef or the farm the pasture not pasture the free-range chicken? We do the best we can by getting what we can in, and we have to understand the limitations of the food that we have available today. The food we have available today is not as nutrient dense as it once was, and it certainly doesn't have enough fiber in it. So, we're going to talk about a couple of things that we need to understand. There is this peptide hormone called glucagon like peptide hormone. I talk about it more and more as I learn about it more and more, but it helps us feel satiated. It helps with brain health. It helps with a number of things going on in the body. We're not able to produce enough of that peptide on our own because of some of the deficiencies in our system. We're not able to regulate the sugars on our own because of some of these deficiencies in our food. In our food. And so our food is not giving us the nourishment that we need to convert it into all the components that we need to, and that our body knows how to do, innately knows how to do. So, yes, eat as clean as you can. Yes, eat as much whole food as you can. Yes, cook at home as much as you can. And I'm going to give you some tips in a minute. But understand that even at the bottom line of that, I've had pescatarians and vegetarians who are suffering with this too, because even though they're eating in higher and higher amounts of greens and vegetables and whatnot, they're still not getting in enough fiber. Okay. So fiber is one of the key things that you need to do to reverse your insulin resistance, because what fiber does is it slows down the delivery and the conversion of that sugar into your bloodstream. So now your insulin levels come down. Your cells start to go, oh, yay, insulin's not annoying anymore. It's a good kid again. So let's open the door and let him in. So now your body starts to be able to respond to insulin in a proper way, and you start to feel better. But one of the things, even when we're eating super healthy, that we're missing when we're eating a lot of carbs is fiber. Now, because my gut was so disrupted by all of this, I love fiber. And here's the thing. I know carnivores are living without fiber. It's a whole different lifestyle. But for the rest of us, we need fiber. Studies say that most of us are only getting in 10 to 16 grams of fiber a day. What we really need, and there was an interesting study that was, they looked at people who were getting in about 16 grams of fiber a day, and then they increased the fiber to up to about 37 grams for other people. Their health started to change, their insulin resistance is getting better, and their GLP-1 starts to go up in the presence of this fiber. So there's a lot going on there with fiber. It's not just about regulating the carbs. For me, it's about getting my gut healthy. The fiber feeds the probiotics in our gut. Most of us are just flat out junked up in our gut, just junked up. we have way too much bad bacteria, you're experiencing bloating and diarrhea or constipation or skin issues or whatever, that all comes back to the gut. Okay. So fiber for me is helping me with my insulin resistance, yes, but it's helping me with ketone production because as those probiotics eat that fiber, it creates these short chain fatty acids, which increases ketones, which allows more glucagon like peptide action, which allows more fat burning, and it allows our body to start to feel normal again. Fiber is one of the big keys for me. Okay, so what I did to change my health was this system. I stumbled on it on TikTok just like you guys. For me, I was at this point where I was just like, I am so desperate. I've got to try something, anything. It's $5 a day. I'm going to admit, at first, I was like, that's way too expensive. I can't afford that. I don't want to do this. But I also knew that all the medications that I'd been on for 30 years were not making my health better. And I was on 13 medications when I started the protocol. I'm not on any medications now. The only medication in my house is some Tylenol or naproxen sodium for pain when I have pain. Guess what? I was taking those medications over the counter or prescribed for pain 3 to 4 times a day because my body was just in so much pain. I don't take Tylenol anymore. Very rarely do I take it. Very, very, very rarely. I can't even tell you the last time I took it was, but it's in the cupboard. I don't have Tums. I don't have antacids. I don't have any of that. So I had a tea in the morning and a pre-meal drink before I ate anything. The system has been switched a little bit because so many people are leaning into OMAD. Not a big proponent of OMAD personally, but many, many people do that. So I drink a tea in the morning, which I should mix up now. It's right here. And I have one mixed up. Cool. You guys always see this. This is a big one today, right? So that actually has some matcha in it as well. But what I do is just take this tea. Both of the products come in just these packets. Tear the top off. Pour it in some hot, or now it's warm, water and drink it down. When I drink this down in the morning like this, I'm in a fasted state. I had my dinner late last night, so I'm only about 14 hours fasted today. But in a fasted state, this is going to help me with GLP-1 production. So I start to feel full quicker, longer, and I don't have all the breakthrough hunger. Plus, this is giving me a number of vitamins and minerals naturally. It's yerba mate tea in a highly concentrated and cleaned up format that allows it to be super healthy for the body. So vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, anti-cancer properties, anti-inflammatory properties in this. Plus, it's helping my gut and my brain feel full, so I'm not trying to have all of those breakthrough snacks. That's one step of it. This is also, I just did a video last night on the heart benefits for this tea. I've done many, many videos on the chlorogenic acids and the brain benefits for this tea. This is how I start my day. This and some intermittent fasting is helping me keep my insulin levels under control. The second step is in the afternoon, you have another tea to help keep that hunger at bay, especially if you're doing OMAD. And then it helps get your energy back up for the rest of the day. And then that's it. So now the balance part, this is the fiber that you drink before meals. Again, it's just packaged in. Look at you guys. This is not the same as this. This cannot even compare to this. So I'll talk about some other studies in just a second, but I'm going to drink this down. So again, I just tear the top off, pour it in, and I want to show you guys this in a second. So that's it. About 4 shakes in that much water. That's my fiber. So I'm going to drink it. Now, why this is different from the other fiber, and when I talked about it encapsulating sugars, as this bottle sits, you're going to see this thick, viscous coating in there. This thickens up even more in your gut. That's encapsulating the sugars and slowing down how quickly the sugars hit your small intestine so we can keep the insulin levels low. This has been just fiber in itself. Let's be honest. Just fiber in itself has been shown to reduce a blood sugar spike by about 13%. This blend of fibers has been scientifically proven to reduce, and you see that thick running through there? This is already thickening up, so you have to drink this quick. But this fiber has been shown to reduce a blood sugar spike by 20%, almost double of what a normal fiber does. Um, so the tea will not break your fast, no. And you can drink it. You guys, one of the things that I start counseling. Yay! So started the protocol. It's working great. Visiting Southeast Asia just to celebrate. You guys, here in our Western societies, we're not as used to this system. In Southeast Asia, in the Pacific Rim, they already know about this, and they've been doing it for a long time, and it's huge there. We're just slow on the uptake because we have so many people regulating this information, because why would they allow you to do this when they want to pump drugs and crappy food into you? That's my opinion on it. All right. So you guys can get the tea, just be going. Do I do a calorie deficit? I wouldn't call it a calorie deficit. I don't really even count calories. I count nutrients, because more than the size of my body, which by the way is regulated by so many other things. Um, I know I have ladies who have lost over 160 pounds. I have a man who's lost over 190 pounds. And I have people all the way in between. But like, I had my gallbladder removed 3 years ago. That drastically changes your metabolism and how energy regulates in the body. It's not just about insulin, but interesting thing is I wouldn't have lost my gallbladder had anybody addressed the insulin resistance in the first place. So had I known about this 20 years ago, I would probably still have a gallbladder today. Had I known about this 20 years ago, I would probably still have both of my hips and one knee that have all been replaced. Ah, so you must be reading the medical medium stuff, right? Is that what, do I understand that correctly? Vitamin D does aid in insulin resistance. I use that as well. So the interesting thing is I have the medical mediums book over here on my shelf. It was one of the first things I started to do to try and address my diabetes. I'm looking for the book. Um, and so I was making these crazy shakes every day, and I was following those. Gallbladder, huge weight gain. Yeah, yeah. When you don't have a gallbladder, it starts messing with your thyroid and a number of other hormones, and you, especially as a woman, can start to pile on weight. Um, yeah, so when I listen to the medical medium, and I think he has a lot of good things, I don't think that everything is Epstein-Barr. I don't think that everything is Epstein-Barr. Just don't. When we look at the nutrition that we have, if we start to really look at the things that we can control, our nutrition is one of the things that they've taken the control out of our hands by giving us really crappy food and telling us that it's good for us, right? Like, how many of you guys pick up a box of cereal and it's, yay, it's high in fiber for your kids, but what you're really doing is pumping sugar in them first thing in the morning, causing them to start to be insulin resistant. Cereal for breakfast is the worst, crappiest food you could give somebody besides orange juice for breakfast. All right. I'm a little excited today. What's up with that? What about the ones? Okay, so medical medium. I did his stuff for a long time. That's the first time I bought a Ninja, because I was making these shakes, and I had kale in the fridge, and I had lemons on the counter, and I had wild blueberries in the freezer, and I had spirulina, and I had a number of all these things, right? And I had this recipe. And so I would just put all this stuff in the Ninja every day and choke down this green thing. Couldn't do celery juice because I'm allergic to celery. Um, and luckily so, but I didn't get better. You guys, I spent days creating these big spreadsheets based on the medical mediums work, and I created all this stuff to try and get it better, and it didn't. What really got me better was this system. I started the system and then immediately started seeing health changes. And finally, I was able to get off all of the medications, not have those nasty shakes in the day. I just do this, a tea in the morning. The tea in the morning, it does not break your fast. In fact, it helps you with ketone production. It can help increase your ketone production by 70%. Thank you, Richard. Um, or Rich, so it can increase your ketone production by 70%. It also increases your GLP-1 production by about 70%. That's huge from nutrients, right? Plus, it's giving you vitamins, minerals, all that. So the question was, when do I take it? How do I do it? You guys, in the morning, I used to start drinking my tea before the live, and then I started having it during the live. If I wasn't on lives every morning, what I do is I wake up and one of the first things I do is heat my water up, make my tea. It's taking me longer than an hour to drink it now, so I'll make sure that I get the rest of this down by the time I'm off this live. The other tea, then I sip on throughout the day. I want one tea in immediately because it's helping with the satiety. It's helping with a number of those antioxidant, anti-cancer, neuroprotective gene expression things going on. I want all of that in the morning. I want all of that when I'm in a fasted state. When my body's repairing and rebuilding, I want it to have the support that it can do. So I do a tea very first thing. You know how some people wake up to a pot of coffee? I wake up to a cup of tea. Okay. Then the rest of this tea now is going to follow me around through the day, whether I'm sitting here doing videos, whether I'm making calls, whether I'm, doing more research. This tea goes with me everywhere. I have the ones I had to convert to the ones that fit in my car cup holder because this tea goes with me in the car. I take packets to my kids' house. It's with me everywhere. It's the one thing I don't want to be without, that and the fiber. So I already drank the fiber down. It's super simple. Now, the best time to drink this is about 10 minutes before. Why? Does it affect the absorption of sugars and stuff if you drink it right before? I doubt it. But if you drink this 10 minutes before, what it's doing is it's thickening up in your gut before you even eat. So now you're a little bit fuller before you eat, so you're less likely to overeat. So I didn't see the first question. Ozempic is fixing insulin resistance and starves out Epstein-Barr. You use berberine instead. So guess what? This has berberine in it, but this, besides the berberine, it has 6 other different fibers in it, and that specific blend is what makes it work so well. Berberine does not have these kind of studies alone to do this job. So berberine can do that, but it's like riding a bicycle from, I'm about a half an hour out of Baltimore. It'd be like me riding the bicycle down the freeway, berberine, to Baltimore, or I could put this in and drive a high-powered SUV down to Baltimore and be a little bit safer and get it there more efficiently, right? So there's a difference. Yes. Does berberine work? Yes. Can you do that? Yes. Will this work better and faster? Absolutely, it will. There's berberine in here. Okay. So Ozempic is not fixing a damn thing. Ozempic is not fixing anything. It's masking symptoms. It's forcing your body to reduce blood sugar levels and whatnot, but at an unhealthy rate. And it's not teaching you anything about nutrition. Do you have any idea how many people I've talked to from Ozempic, Mounjaro, whatever, gastric bypass, who've gained their weight back, who now have health issues because they relied on those drugs instead of just addressing the nutritional deficiency they have and the problems that they have in their nutrients and the food that we're getting? So why not start at the root? Because Ozempic, you come off of Ozempic and it's not fixing anything. You haven't fixed your nutrients. You haven't fixed your gut. Is Ozempic fixing your gut health? No, it's not. Is Ozempic strengthening your heart? No, it's not. Is Ozempic helping your pancreas heal? No, it's not. Please don't ever come in here and tell me Ozempic is fixing anything, because now you're going to make me mad, because that Ozempic stuff is killing people at the high rates that they're giving it to them. It's causing so much damage, and there are more and more and more lawsuits out about it. Plus, when you're losing weight and fixing your insulin resistance with Ozempic, you're putting your muscles at risk, because studies have shown that most people who are losing weight with Ozempic and these drugs are losing about 40% of their weight from muscle. And if you're a 60-year-old like me and you're losing 40% of your mass and muscle, you're never getting that back. What did it fix for me? What did it fix? It put me at more risk. It put me at more risk. Please understand that. I've never done Ozempic and I never would. So 90-day guarantee. Right, you guys, 90-day guarantee. Please ask me questions like that because I love to feel like a preacher on the pulpit. I really do. So, yeah, 90-day guarantee, you guys. If you're not getting what, like the guarantee used to be just on blood work. So if your A1C didn't go down, if your triglycerides didn't go down, if your blood sugar didn't go down in 90 days, you would get your money back. Now it's just on satisfaction. Do this for 90 days. But do it for 90 days. It's nutrients that are giving your body health. It's not some drug that's forcing your body to switch gears. It's not a drug. So, like, the drugs are like telling your leg, keep moving all day, all day, all day, even though you don't want to, even though you're not walking, keep your leg moving. That's kind of what drugs are doing. Nutrients are giving you the energy to be able to move that leg when you need to. And it's helping your body be more sustainable and healthy from the inside out. Ozempic does not do any of that. It's tearing your body down. Okay. So yes, 90-day money back guarantee. It has 3 guarantees, actually: 90-day money back guarantee, quality guarantee, because we actually test this at 3 points before it ever goes out to you. And then a low price guarantee. You'll never pay more for it than I do when you order it through me. You'll never, yeah, I pay the same amount as you do. So, and it's less than you're going to find it for on Amazon, eBay, Walmart, and you don't get any of the guarantees when you buy there. Rich, thank you so much for your support this morning. Is this just for selling a product? Let's deal with that question, you guys. I just feel like it today. I just have a little piss and vinegar in my pocket today, okay? Is this just for selling a product? Do you think that I spend hours at a time looking up all of this information just to sell a product? If it was just to sell a product, I would just be on here telling you, buy this, buy this, buy this, like so many other people do. I spend an entire hour educating you on insulin resistance so you can understand. Many people don't do the system, many people do. But if I've saved a life or helped a life in any way by giving the information I give, that's great. On the back end, do I sell a product? Yes. And I'm not going to be ashamed of that. Do you go to work every day and make money to pay your bills? I do. I'm just helping people while I do it. Why was that be a bad thing? Why do we have this paradigm that it's such a bad thing to help people? Yeah, VGP, thank you. You're a 72-year-old male fireman paramedic. This protocol is working for me. Rich, you know what? We got to talk. You know what? I feel like I need to send you a gift, man. You've been so amazing. So we have truck drivers who are very sedentary. We have firemen. We have cardiologists who are doing the system. We have neurologists who are doing the system. We have endocrinologists who are doing the system. We have naturopaths who are doing the system. In fact, we have some naturopaths who are, instead of giving these big, long protocols like the medical medium was doing, they're saying, do this. Now your life is simplified. Now you don't have a dozen bottles on your counter and you're trying to take throughout the day. And how do you carry all of that? And having pill boxes. Look, I just pack these 3 things. I walk out the door. Tonight I'm going to my daughter-in-law's house. We're having our Wednesday night family night. So she'll fix dinner. I'll hang out with my grandson. We'll play some board games. What do I have to pack? Do I have to go look through all my supplements and take stuff and grab all of that and medications to take to the house with her? No, I drop. Actually, because I will have 1 tea, I drop these 2 in my purse, good to go. I'm done. I drink the fiber 10 minutes before we eat. I drink the tea while I'm hanging out with my grandson. I'm good. Rich, you're amazing, by the way. I want to say that. Okay. So, stomach paralysis. Oh, yeah. I didn't even talk about that, right? Let's go down that road. So yeah, Ozempic, Mounjaro, all of those things are forcing your gut to stop working. They're forcing your gut to stop working. Your gut is not contracting. It's not moving food through in the way that it should. Guess what? This teaches your gut how to work properly while slowing down the delivery of the food into the system so that it's at a normal rate and strengthening your gut instead of slowing down the food delivery. So you stay full and you're not getting the sugar spike, but now you have this blockage of food that's rotting in your gut. Ozempic does that. This helps slow it down, but also helps clear out all the toxins in the waste as it goes and reduces the blood sugar spike and took my A1C from 7.4 down to 5.3, took my my blood sugars down from the mid 200s to waking up at about 96 every morning. Took my triglycerides back down. I haven't even tested those in a while. The last time we tested them, they were below 150, so good, right? And my triglyceride to HDL ratio was amazing. This did all of that. Does Ozempic do any of that for you? Because I've never heard anyone tell me that it's improved their brain function, that's improved their gut function, that it's helped their, all of these things help happen normally. No, no, no. Don't ever come in here talking to me about how great Ozempic is. All right. Thanks, Rich. So you get the product just by going to my profile up here. I'll put it over here on, you guys, I'm live on Facebook, YouTube, and X right now as well. If you want to get a replay of any of the videos I've done, just go to YouTube. They're all housed there. So just go to my profile right under the red lights and we'll take a look at that. You'll see a link and you just click on that link and you have two options. You can go to my website and learn more, or you can just message me and I'll send you information, including the link as to where to buy. And I'm not going to hound you. I'm not going to harass you. I'm going to give you the information you need and I'm going to talk to you when you need me. And that's it. So I'm not like super pushy or anything like that. Just go to the link, ask me questions. I have people ask me questions all the time, like my kid is suffering with this, my mom is suffering with that. I've had this going on, will this help? And then I have a conversation with you. Because I love having conversations. Okay. Thank you, Rich. Thank you. Um, right? Look at the food we have to eat. So no, you guys, to be honest, they changed the system now because a lot of people are doing OMAD. So for me, the system actually looks like this. I am a fiber nut. Now that I started learning about fiber that's in my late 50s, I started learning about how beneficial fiber was and understanding how little of it we're actually getting in because the foods we have, even that broccoli you buy on the shelf, the amount of fiber that you get out of it is far less than it ever used to be. So you're having to eat more of that, which is giving you more of the other stuff than by just adding in the fiber because we've stripped it out of all of our foods. Our foods didn't go from a peach being I don't have my AirPods case here. A peach being about the size of an AirPods case to about the size of my fist. Now, how in 50 years did we take a peach from this size to this size? We stripped the fiber out. Now it's delectable and juicy and drips down your cheek when you eat it. But a real peach isn't going to do that. A real peach is going to have a little sweet, a lot of bitter, and it's going to be crunchy and it's going to be tough to chew because that fiber is protecting you from the sugar inside the peach. The food industry's taken it all out. So now you're going down the perimeter aisles and you think you're doing all the great things. And you're like, why am I still feeling sick? I'm doing all the right things because our food has changed. And the only way to fix that is to put back what's been stripped out. And that's what we're doing. So for me, I do a tea in the morning. I'll do another tea throughout the day, like in this mug, right? It just follows me around and I sip on that the rest of the day. I had a fiber this morning just for demonstration purposes, but also because I was having a little bit of acidic gut this morning. It's already calmed down by drinking this fiber. This fiber coats up my gut and helps me when I have excess acid production, which is going to cause ulcers in my esophagus and whatnot. So I like to keep that down, the acid down in the stomach where it needs to be. And by the way, this doesn't break my fast either. Again, this is feeding the probiotics, creating short chain fatty acids, which are helping me produce ketones and helping my body to understand that it needs to utilize fat for fuel in this moment. So when I do eat today, and I haven't decided whether I'm going to have breakfast or not, or if I'm just going to go have dinner with my family, I probably will have breakfast. Breakfast today, if I make it, it's going to be an egg omelet, a whole egg omelet with some ham and a little bit of hollandaise sauce on it. Done. Maybe some spinach in it. Done. Okay, that's it. Protein and fiber are the things I focus on. So then when I do go to my daughter's house, so today, in all honesty, I'll have had 3 of these. Is that unhealthy? No, it's not. It's super healthy, in fact. Because remember, most of us only getting in 10 to 16 grams of fiber. I don't eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. So One, two, three of these packets, I've increased my fiber by about 15 grams. Now I'm cooking. Now I should be in around that 37 grams of fiber range, by the way. So with the, I do want to talk about, can I talk about this little change that's happened for those of you who've been doing the system? As I've dived into looking at fiber and some more research and whatnot on it, I ran across some interesting information. I believe Tom DeLauer was talking about it, and then I looked up studies and whatnot. But a regular fiber, uh, like psyllium husk or whatever, will reduce a blood sugar spike by about 13%. Adding fiber in will reduce a blood sugar spike by about 13% if you do it in the morning. So now if I was to have anything, it's already going to reduce that blood sugar spike. Now without adding another fiber in, but having my lunch meal, studies have shown overall with numerous clients that if they have their lunch now after they had fiber in the morning, the lunch glucose spike is reduced by about 60%. Then they have had a second fiber before dinner, and that reduced the dinner spike by about 30%. Why? So we have a study that says a one time of this is going to reduce your blood sugar spike by 20%. So now apply that science that we don't have on this, but apply the science with that singular type of fiber to that, and now we have a system that I will write all this down and make another ebook. But what I'm choosing to do, if I were to have only one fiber a day, I would have it before my first meal and then allow that fiber to work through the second meal. Most people are having the fiber before dinner because they're wanting to mediate carbohydrates, and carbohydrates are more heavily laden in our dinners than they are in any other meal for the most part, except for breakfast, which I don't do. So was that a long roundabout way to tell you what I'm talking about? Let's see. Yes, you live in Canada, you can get it. We're in over 60 countries now. When the system came out in a couple of years ago, we were only in about 20 countries with the system. The company itself is in over 80 countries throughout the world, but we're working hard to get it in every country. We have a big market in Canada, UK, France, Australia, New Zealand, we're starting to grow. So yes, you can get it in Canada. By the way, the link that I have takes you to the website that's appropriate for you based on your IP address. So if you're in the UK, you're going to be ordering from our UK warehouse. If you're in Canada, you're going to get the website that's built for Canada, and you're going to get the distribution up there. Mexico, we have it. We have it in a number of South American countries. We're working on expanding that. We finally have it in South Africa. But yes, that link will take you to the website that you need. We have an office and a warehouse in Dubai now. So you're not waiting for product. Throughout the world, you're not waiting for product to come from the US. It's coming from a facility near you. So there's that. All right. Is it by accident that we're all sick? Oh, do you guys want to go down? This is not about the product. You're going to make me go down the conspiracy road, aren't you? You're going to take me down that road. And I'm going to gladly run down it with you. Yeah, we are. I feel like maybe not at first intentionally, but now I think they understand that. I think that food makers understand that they're giving us incomplete nutrition. And since most of the families who own the big food companies are related to the families who own big pharma, can you see that if you're overbuying food that's not giving you nutrients and making you sick, and then they pass you on? So you're buying more of the food, you're thinking you're doing the right thing, and then you get sick, you get diabetes, you get kidney disease, you get heart failure, and now you're going to big pharma to get medications to fix it, Ozempic. That's really not helping. By the way, a number of these drugs that are supposed to be helping, and I would have to do videos on each one of them separately, but they are making you more sick, exacerbating the problem. So I don't believe it's by accident. I think, and so this is a Misha part of me. Those of you who believe this, dive in. Those of you who don't, it's okay. You're allowed your opinion, and I'm allowed mine. But yeah, I think it's a control mechanism. I think that when we're sick and we're giving up more of our money and more of our power to people who just don't really care about us. So that's what I think. I think if they really cared about our health, they wouldn't have modified our food. My opinion is, all this hubbub about um, farming and how much food we have to produce. Well, wouldn't it be interesting to note that we could feed the world on far less food if we started focusing back on nutrients instead of size and delectability? Okay, so yeah, if our foods went back to the organic heirloom foods that we used to eat, they may not be as pretty, they may not be as sweet, but they're going to give us the nutrients and we're going to have the health that we should have. um is that all by design? Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think so. Okay. YGP, you said yes, please. And I forgot what I was talking about when you said yes, please. So remind me, and I will try to make sure I take care of it. I have a number of things that I'm going to work on with for videos today. Um, we'll be back tomorrow. I know I was a little bit late hopping on today. I do think we want to talk about salt and kidneys and heart tomorrow. And why, you guys, I never regulate the salt. Somebody asked me about calorie restriction, and I never fully explained that because I get off on tangents. All right, so no, I don't do what people would call calorie deficit. Am I cognizant of the food that I'm putting in my face and the calories that are coming in? Of course, I am. I was a power lifter for years, and so at that time, and I honestly would recommend, if you don't understand macros, micros, and your nutrients altogether, I would obviously recommend, maybe not obviously, I would honestly recommend that you use one of those like Fit Day or fitness trackers where you plug your food in and it's going to give you a macro breakdown of how much protein you got in, how much fats you got in, how much carbohydrates you ate, and then even can break down some of the micronutrients so you can see where maybe you're deficient. I think it's a great tool to learn and to start taking our control back so that we understand the food we're eating. I don't think that we need to always be concerned about, oh my God, is it the calories? I think we need to shift our focus to nutrients. And we all know when we're overeating. We all know when we're overeating. Okay. We all do. It's not oh, I didn't know that having a whole bag of chips in a sitting was bad for me. I didn't know that. Come on. We all know. We just choose not to look that way because it's convenient to not. So if we start to learn what our body needs for nutrients and see where our nutrients are falling, the biggest thing for those fit day and all of that, and I used to plug everything in. You guys, at night I would sit down and I would plug all of my foods in as I was competing. I would plug every one of my foods into that app to see, was I hitting my micro balance? Was I getting in enough protein, enough fats? Were my carbohydrates low enough? Where were my, yes, at that point I was counting calories. I wanted to keep them about 2000. So use an app like that, you guys, so you can start to see what's happening. Because when I get on the phone with people, one of the biggest things that happens is fiber. Obviously, most people are not getting enough fiber, and a lot of people are not eating enough protein. And this is my problem with OMAD. If you're healthy and active, and you're trying to do OMAD, you're not getting in the building blocks you need. Okay. If you're older, my mama's like 90, she does OMAD. She doesn't need to eat that much. She's not as active. Her body's winding down. Okay, fine. Right. But OMAD for anyone who's at an active age and who's doing things, I don't think you can get enough nutrients in that one meal. So I'm not a proponent of it for those reasons. And studies have shown that people who do a 16-8 and have two meals are doing better than the people on OMAD. Okay. So I do two meals. And you guys, like yesterday, we're going to shift. I started using this scanner that's just really done with my phone, and it's done on frequencies. And I've been listening to Terrence Howard talk about it, and it's just like so amazing that this guy knows so much about it. But it can tell me, um, Like, I was curious. So, like, every supplement anybody, because people send me supplements and stuff all the time. So I just scan them all, put them in the machine. It tells me what I need every day. Some of the things that I'm noticing every day that it tells me that I need to take. It's crazy. This morning I woke up, it said you need Unimate. Sometimes in the middle of the day, my energy's down. I'll do the scan. So I do it 3 times a day. It'll tell me I need Unimate. But beyond that, it's protein. So I can't remember what my first I had a chicken breast yesterday, with some cheese and some ham, and, I knew that that was right around 30 grams of protein, but I just wanted to make sure that I was getting in close to 50. So in my pre-meal drink, I added 2 scoops of protein to get me 20 grams of protein with the fiber, and, that made sure I had at least 50 grams of protein in that sitting. Now, I knew that throughout the day I wasn't gonna get enough protein in, so without adding extra carbs and stuff in, I did another fiber and protein midway through the meals, and then at dinner time, I had some shrimp. I really didn't like them, um, but I knew that I wasn't getting enough protein there, so I had protein on that day too. That's not a normal day. Today, if I do the egg omelet and the all of that, I'll probably be getting in enough protein. I'll make sure that I am with the foods that I have, so I won't need to supplement with protein there. But protein is important. And if you don't know what that looks like and you can't see that, hey, that little salad I had with a quarter of a breast of chicken on it is not enough protein for me, you're not going to know. And you cannot lose weight and become healthy without protein. Protein feeds these things called muscles. And guess what? Your heart, your liver, your kidneys, your lungs, they're all muscles. If you're not getting in protein, all of those things are starting to deplete and not turn over as healthy as they should be. So protein is key, 1 gram of protein per pound of body fat. Now, I was going back to the scanner because I really love having that scanner. Now I know if there are any other supplements, D3, magnesium, whatever, that I'm not taking more than I need because it just tells me when my body needs it. I do the system every day because I consider the system a nutrient, just like the food I eat. Okay. No, you don't have to take the complete protein every day, Ro. I use the complete protein as a filler. So when I look at my meals for the day, if I'm not getting in 150 grams of protein through the meat I eat, then I will add the protein shake in. And let's be honest, there are some days I just don't feel like eating that much, but I know that I need those macronutrients in, so I'll add the protein then. I don't do the complete protein every day. So for me, and again, I'm not calorie counting, I'm counting nutrients. But for me, that chicken breast yesterday, to get in enough protein, I would need to eat 2. And I just didn't feel like eating through 2 chicken breasts that day. So I added the protein in to get me there. Okay. Does that make sense? It's not an everyday staple, it's a fill in the gap when I need it. Yeah, it can be done. So, and can I talk a little bit about protein? You guys, I love talking about this stuff. So protein, there used to be this big thing that, oh God, you can't use more than 40 grams of protein in a sitting. So don't eat more than that. You're just wasting it. You're just peeing it out, whatever. Interesting thing. They've now shown that there's a new study that came out that you can get in about 100 grams of protein, up to 100 grams of protein in one sitting. Your body will only access 40 to 50 grams of that immediately, but it will push off the rest and kind of store it until your body needs it and time release it throughout the rest of the time between then and your next meal without adding more calories. Your body's smart, it's going to hang on to what it needs. If it's too much protein, it's going to push it out through your urine, or you're going to breathe it out, or it's going to go away. Way too much protein, that's a whole other issue that can start to cause shutdown of other organs. But they're now starting to see that we can have 100 grams of protein in a sitting and our body will slowly metabolize it as it needs it. Makes sense. Think about it. We weren't always able to sit behind a computer and then walk 20 feet to a refrigerator and pull out a meal and eat it. right? We didn't even have refrigerators for a long time. That's why we had such prevalence of dried fruits and meats. We went for days and hours without eating because we didn't have this availability of food. Our bodies are built for this. Our bodies are built to eat less and survive on the right nutrients. So, protein, 50 to 100 grams in a sitting. Try to get in your ideal body weight, not your current body weight, in grams of protein a day. That's going to help. Now, I add the system on top of it because I love what it's done for my gut health. I love what it's done for my inflammation. I love what it's done for all the other things that I talk about with fiber. Okay, so my ideal body weight is probably, with my bone structure and just knowing myself well enough, about 174 pounds is where I will be lean and mean and a good fighting machine. Now, that means I need to get in about 170 grams of protein a day. I'm a little bit older, a little bit less active. So if I get in 120 to 150, I'm good. I still aim to get in about 170, but I just don't always. So protein is really important. The top three keys I have for helping with insulin resistance are fiber first. It's going to help reduce blood sugar spikes. It's going to build up your gut. It's going to do a lot of good things for you. Prioritize protein. Make sure you're getting in that throughout the couple of meals you have in the day, about that 100 to 150 grams of protein, and then fill up with fats or don't fear them. So, what we're talking about is not safflower oil, sunflower oil, canola oil, vegetable oil. We're talking about olive oil, butter, ghee, avocado oil, coconut oil. Yeah, they're saturated fats. Oh my God, she's scaring me. No, those saturated fats are actually really good for you in amounts that match what your protein intake is. So, Dr. Bickman, I was searching for this answer and I happened to catch him on a podcast talking, and I was like, yay, months I've been trying to find this. He says about, this is not calorie count, about a gram of fat per gram of protein. They need to be paired up. Okay. Body weight, your ideal body weight is what your protein intake should be. So you have to pair fats with your protein, you guys. Your body doesn't like to metabolize protein and store it well without the fats attached. So just like carbs need fiber attached, and you will not see a carb in nature without fiber wrapped around it, except for maybe honey, but they have bees wrapped around it. Hopefully encourage you to not eat so much honey all the time. Great for a number of things, yes. But if I was going to have honey, I would definitely be adding fiber first. But protein and fats need each other. The muscle cells that protein builds are protected by a thin layer that fat builds. So if that layer is thin and brittle, your muscles are going to break through it. Your body understands that. It's not going to allow you to store as much protein unless there's an equivalent amount of fat for that body to be safe in pumping those muscles up. Okay. Your body knows the score. What we're putting into it, our body's trying to deal with. So we got to pay attention to what we're putting in. For me, it's as simple as I don't worry so much about what I eat, although I primarily eat protein. Um, I just make sure I'm getting this in. By the way, this has a complete panel of like A, B, C, D, E, K, a bunch of vitamins in it. One of the highest in nutrients that of foods that you can get in. Plus, it has those chlorogenic acids helping you with brain health, satiety, and your metabolism. And by the way, when you mix fiber and protein together, it increases that GLP-1 action even more than just fiber itself. So those two together really kind of boost up your metabolism. If you're looking for that, you might want to think about putting your fiber and your protein together and drinking it down like that. So if I do have that extra fiber, again, or protein, I do it in my fiber 10 minutes before I eat. Now, the amazing thing is fiber helps you feel satiated because it's filling your gut up. Protein, out of the three macronutrients, carbohydrates, fats, and fiber, protein makes you feel the most satiated the longest. So, yes, it has a minimal spike of insulin, um, but it doesn't have a huge spike. Remember, protein can convert into some glucose. The glucose transporter, the glucose back door to get that into your cells is very different when it's being converted from protein than when it's just taken in as fruits and vegetables and packaged goods. Those latter ones need insulin to get them into the cells. The glucose from protein doesn't need, there's a pathway that I call a backdoor that glucose can get into your cells and feed your cells energy. So sugar and the high amounts of sugar, glucose, fructose in the foods we eat is really causing the problem. Yeah. Okay. So you guys, is there anything in emotional eater? How do you learn? That's the first step, Bill. So look at you guys, let's be honest. Let's all be honest. There are a few people out there who are like just over the top, and I'm probably going to take some heat for this. I mentioned Dave Goggins to my son the other day, and he's like, "Oh, I hate that guy." And I'm like, "What? Why?" He goes, "Because he talks about being a Navy SEAL. He didn't even pass. He didn't even get through. So he's built this platform on basically a lie." Anyway, but there are these people out there who will just push through and do things. Most of us are not those people. So the system has just helped me make this sustainable. And we all are emotional eaters in some point. One of the parts of my journey, like my daddy was Native American, came from the reservation in North Dakota. And so he lived through the days of the only foods they got were commodities. So they had like Velveeta cheese, they had bacon. So they would save that bacon to cook with, peanut butter and Karo syrup. Those were all in their commodities. So he learned some really interesting food choices. Like he would mix ketchup and grease and mix it and heat it up and then dip his bread in it because that was a childhood memory. That was how they ate. That was the food they had available. And for a treat, what they would do is take the peanut butter and Karo syrup, mix it together into something that we called dipping bread. And then you would dip the bread in that Karo syrup and peanut butter mix. And back in the day, nobody knew like how unhealthy these things were, but it was definitely an emotional connection to my father, right? So as my journey began, there were days I don't even crave it anymore, but there were days when like I would be missing dad or something would happen and I would be like, I really want dipping bread. And I started eating it and I'm like, ugh, this doesn't even taste the same. Now you taste the chemicals in it. It takes time. So, and look, I also have a mother, and I love her dearly. She's still alive. But her model of eating was all based on emotion. If she was angry, she fed us. If she was happy, she fed us. If she was sad, she fed us. And she ate herself. So we learned this thing of emotional eating. Understanding that you're an emotional eater is probably the first step. The next step is going to be every time you pick up food and you're having an emotion, ask yourself, do I really need this or is it just the emotion? If it's just the emotion, find something to support the emotion. Frequencies music, healthy music, I think is really great. Getting out and taking a walk and resetting. Like if you're super sad, just breaking the pattern, get up and move, dance for a few minutes, do something, you'll find that the hunger goes away. It just takes time to reprogram everything that you've learned so that you're not eating because of emotion, that you're waiting to eat when your stomach actually says, hey, yo, I'm hungry, I'm empty, and we've run out of energy to pass off to the body. Can we please have some food? Okay. So it just takes some awareness, I think. I'm an emotional eater with ADHD. So and I'm going to be honest, the last few months I've had a severe problem. There was a lot going on. There still is a lot going on in my life. And I would have emotional moments. And with the ADHD, there's some dopamine chasing and impulse control. And I would almost like wake up at the bottom of a bag of chips and be like, what the hell just happened? So we all have those issues. I don't believe that anybody's really perfect. We've just learned to understand what those triggers are and what other healthier ways we can do to get over it. And if you just look it up, Bill, there will be a ton of information on Google on some things that you can do to help with overcoming that emotional need for food. Okay. In the meantime, if you can understand that If you're not having brain fog or you're not having stomach pain that says I'm hungry, don't put it in your mouth. Okay? And look, the thing is, don't please, you guys, don't beat yourself up. We all have to stop beating ourselves up. There's a part of us being self-aware and understanding what we're doing and trying to do better. But most of us wake up with this, I'm imperfect. I fucked up my diet yesterday. I ate all the wrong things. I'm just bad. I can't do this. I'm not a good person because I have some extra weight on, or I have too little weight on, or I just didn't eat perfectly yesterday. Stop. Stop. Life is an experience, and out of each experience, we learn and we move forward. Be gentler with yourselves while you're taking steps moving forward, right? Is this oh my God, I'm going to take this, I'm going to clean up everything in my diet and everything is going to be perfect? No, this is a tool to help you get there. But don't think that you're going to wake up tomorrow and everything is going to be fixed. And don't think that because you have an emotional moment, because you have a human moment and you slipped, that you're a bad person. Okay? So I just want to be clear with that. I want everybody to just focus on doing the best you can where you're at and just start doing better and understanding that. Well, now I'm going to come back to this because this is going to sound a little bit salesy, but I don't care because it's really not. This is just, you guys, I love the protocol this much. When we get to those points and we understand all of this is going on, I'm just going to say, the brain fog and the emotion and the emotional dysregulation and the depression and all of that stuff is still linked back to insulin resistance. Get the insulin resistance under control, and those emotions start to calm down and level out. ADHD starts to get better. Autism starts to get better. A number of things, skin issues, all of that. So, okay, guys, I'm going to go get this video researched and done on salt and the study that I talked about. And so look for those by the time the day is done. And we'll see you in the morning for some more. I think I'm going to talk about, no, we're going to talk about salt tomorrow. I'm going to talk about salt, its importance for your heart, insulin resistance, and all of these other things, because the reduction that we're taking in salt is actually making us more insulin resistant. And I will talk about that study tomorrow. Okay, guys, have a great day. Lucienne, thank you so much. She said, you're great for my mind, body, and soul. Yeah, you guys, I'm an autistic person, so I'm not great in big crowds, but one-on-one, I love people and I love helping people. Okay. I want people to be healthy. And at the end of the day, I don't want anybody to go through the devastating health issues that I've had, because nobody talked to them about insulin resistance and nobody explained how it's causing all of our problems. Project Paperclip, is that what you're talking about, Rich? Yeah. 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 A lot of people aren't ready for that information, though. Would you agree? Unfortunately, so we just got to start where we're at and help people get along with where they're at. Science has changed. We're now waking up to the fact that we're being held captive in sick bodies that we don't need to be in. Our bodies are a gift from God, and we should be rejoicing what they do instead of admonishing them for not being perfect when we haven't given them a perfect environment. Okay? Yep. Yep, I agree. Okay. So you guys, will see you tomorrow morning. Thank you so much. You guys have you have all filled my soul today, and I appreciate you so much. And that comes from the bottom of my heart. You guys, why I get up every day and do this is you. It's not me. If I had a choice, if it was just for me, I would just go in there and learn and sit down. I should, that's a lie, because it is for me, because you guys getting better helps me. Okay. All right. Have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.